And welcome. This time around we have another tool from Vevor, and this one I don't know how much I can say about it because it's sort of self-explanatory and there's not a whole lot to evaluate other than just waiting time and seeing how it survives with use. And that's often the comment about any tool, but this one in specific, definitely it's a make or break on wear. As is common for the Vevor products I've reviewed so far, the packaging is more than adequate and the tools arrive undamaged, even when they're shipped long distances. And this one's no exception. As is typical with every Vevor product I've had shipped me, the packaging is excellent double thickness cardboard, expanded polystyrene foam, protected the air hose reel perfectly. So I guess I gave it away. It's a auto-retracting air hose reel. And what caught me off guard was how heavy this package was. I couldn't believe it. And it's not the hose. The hose itself is 3/8-inch hose, quarter-inch NPT fittings, hybrid hose design, so it's extremely soft and flexible. It comes with a leader so that you can connect to your air compressor. You don't have to provide that. All brass fittings. The metal on this thing is thicker gauge than any one I've ever seen. I purchased one for myself, and this one is at least twice the thickness. The hybrid air hose itself is designed to work between temperatures -40 and +150 Fahrenheit, which is a pretty decent range. It's extremely flexible and soft. It seems like it's reasonable. As flexible as it is, always makes me wonder how it's going to survive life in the shop. The hose I'm showing you here is exactly the opposite. Thick, rigid, and reasonably abrasion resistant, but no inner liner, and it stays in form. If you're looking to mount this guy, the dimensions of the reel are 17 inches in diameter, but from the wall mount swivel to the edge of the reel is 22 inches if you're trying to plan for it. It can be either floor mounted, wall mounted, or ceiling mounted. They come with spreader bolts in the package, which is pretty impressive. Everything you need to mount it. And the unit is extremely heavy duty, so at least the reel will last forever. So one of the areas of main concern with any of these sort of designs is the rotary connection where the stationary hose meets the rotary reel and provides air into the reel itself. And that's always a limiting factor for wear. And so I took a close look at this guy, and it's all brass construction. It seems like it's pretty well made, and it seems like it could last. Again, this is one of those things only time can tell. The hose stop itself is a hard piece of plastic with a nice rubber sort of cushion so that if you let go of the hose, it doesn't slam into the reel too hard and potentially dam itself. It's adjustable and you can unscrew it and remove it. The hose itself, as it exits the reel, also has a spring protecting it, which goes to the rotary joint that will protect the hose from marring and cuts. Also included in the package are four spreader bolts for concrete if you want to mount it on the floor, and 2 screws to mount it to the reel holder, which can be attached to the wall via whatever kind of lag bolts you want to use. Also, the material the reel holder is made out of is, again, 1/8-inch steel, super heavy duty. And I think it's a surprising touch that they include the concrete spreader bolts. They do not seem super high quality, so if you're concerned about it, you might want to provide your own. Everything else is above and beyond. This next bit's a little unusual. So normally with these kind of products, when they give you the Teflon tape with it, they provide a little tiny reel of Teflon tape. This one, however, they just wound the Teflon tape around one of the pipe threads, and it's fairly long piece, but it's also really thin. So I guess they're expecting you to undo it off there and put it on another hose fitting. That's really strange, and it's probably not very reusable like that. I decided to try and use some of the Teflon tape they provided on one of the fittings. I left the last bit on the fitting itself just to see how well it worked. They did not provide compressor hose fittings, which makes sense because people use different size and different style fittings. And so I'm going to use the one they provided. One thing I noticed is that they did not give a lot of space to get a wrench in on the hose side, on any of the ends of the hose, which made it a little bit challenging when you wanted to tighten it up, because the MPT fittings are tapered, but they made them large enough that they seated all the way flat. So I was concerned about leaks. So I think we should check leaks next. I know there's a little bit off camera here, but I wanted to check that the Teflon tape that came with it, with the MPT fitting that bottomed out, and I know you can barely see that, but it is leaking. So I'm going to have to use my own Teflon tape on that guy to fix that problem. Interestingly enough, that's the only joint that leaked. The rotary joint itself doesn't leak. The other fittings did not leak, so that's all a good sign. It's just the one where I left their Teflon tape on. So my recommendations is provide your own. I think it's a great sign that the rotary joint doesn't leak at all, because that is definitely a weak spot in any of these designs. There's a lot of stress there because you have to have gaskets and you have to have things moving across the gaskets, which is, tends to make them wear, and air under pressure definitely has a way of getting out, but this one's not a problem, at least not yet. So the Teflon tape I used is this tape designed for stainless steel fittings I purchased from McMaster-Carr. It's extra thick. You only need a couple wraps, and it does a great job of sealing especially loose MPT fittings. It was also thick enough that the MPT fittings no longer seated all the way to the bottom, just using a couple wraps around it, which was causing leakage all by itself, because MPT fittings are designed for the tapers to meet and threads pull against each other. If it bottoms out, then that doesn't work. Overall, I think this is one of the most solid products I've seen from Vevor to date. It's really solidly built. It's got a lot of nice features, soft stop on the hose reel material, and the mounting plate are extremely thick material, steel. They claim it's alloy steel. The fitting of the swivel was only so. It had to be bent in a little bit, but maybe they intended that. The hose is extremely flexible, so if it lasts, it's extremely nice to use. So we'll see about that. It doesn't kink very easily. Overall, I think the product has a lot of potential. For this one of those things only time can tell, but from an initial inspection, this is a pretty nice product, and I'm definitely giving it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful. Hope to see you next time.